Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you not an invasion fleet video, I promise. So GW realized with Grotmus that they could make more money by printing more rules. Or at least detachments, fun things, right? And I've already released, two videos about what I think could be coming down the pipeline for us. Post Grotmus, gotta admit, or Bioform Onslaught did that one for our Grotmus as well, and I was not close. I don't think I would have ever guessed that one. So it's not to say that they are likely to do any of this, it's just, a little bit of fun. But why do we open up on Invasion Fleet? Well, because this kind of sets the stage. I think technically I should have opened up on Vanguard Onslaught in that regard, but this sets the stage as what we currently have for the Codex are roughly the stages of the invasion process. Uh, if you're unfamiliar with it, we have Reconnaissance, we have Infestation, we have Assault, we have Subjugation, and Absorption. Okay? So roughly they're there. If you've never seen that before, there you go, learn something new. And also, I'm going to try to. I shouldn't try to talk too much about history stuff, but I do kind of get a giggle when I turn around and all of a sudden everybody's like, "Yeah, it's called the casino cannon on the rupture effects because it has two shots," and I'm like, "That is not why that is called that." But trying to educate the masses aside, what do we have? So reconnaissance, Vanguard, Vanguard, right? Infestation is the one that I think we could get some more work on. Like it does still say some things about Moloch's Trigons, Gargoyles. Uh, so our Vanguard stuff still continued, but it's about seeding the planet a little bit. It also disrupts the warp. And our detachment that is kind of closest to the presence of the shadow of the warp is Synaptic Nexus. Now, this also is supposed to approach the spore thing, so that's why I say infestation is kind of a rough mess. Then you also have the conversation of our detachments being based more so on specific high fleets, which they kind of dropped and retooled a bit. But to that, if you just say that Synaptic Nexus is Chronos to an extent, to an extent. That's kind of where some people agree on it. But like I said, Infestation in my head could use a little bit of retooling, and that's where I think that there's some interesting opportunities for that. Now we go over to Assault, where you got Gods, Gargoyles, and Gene Stealers, the smaller bioforms, and then on the other hand, the larger bioforms. So, both of those, Unending Swarm, and Crusher Stampede. Well, the Pillory Towers are still uh, in process and actually doing things now at this point. Consolidate biomass that has already been absorbed. While all those things are good and dandy, you got the small ones rushing in and the big ones falling up, or vice versa. Um, they kind of said in the codex blurb for this edition that Crusher Stampede kind of knocks down barriers, and then there's the flood of the smaller ones, if I remember the codex lore blurb correctly. Should have looked at that, to be honest. But more so, that's where both of our stat checks come in from with assault. Also, I guess I should say subjugation, kind of looking more invasion fleety to me. I know it says rippers and meiotic spores get involved in this process, but as we know, assimilation swarm is kind of the absorption part, where it's just like, well, as the last things are getting cleaned up, that's where everything gets absorbed there. So the process isn't perfect one for one as far as what we have access to the book. And did I forget anybody? The Synaptic Nexus talked about. No, I hit everybody, right? So yeah, it's not too perfect, but it kind of aligns in places, more or less. So, what's there to say? I say that there's a chance that my hopes for something semi-related to High Fleet Gorgon, but more spore-based, comes to infestation. Now, does that mean that I want the spore assist to get buffed? Sure, I'll take it. I can't say that it's something that I necessarily want. But, if there's something to be said about getting buffs around spores, I think that'd be sick. We're already taking the Biovore. Give me a reason to take the Harpy more often. I I mean, I guess I could take the Spore Assist, but don't make me, please. So things like that. I think it'd be neat if we had something that's like, yeah, while you are within X meters of a spore of a type, you get something. Or it's a debuff for your opponent besides just the can't advance within 6 inches. Can't start or end and advance within 6 inches and the explosion. It would be neat if it's like further debuffs on that part, where it's like, yeah, they are -1 leadership around the spores too, and trying to think what else would help us. I don't know, something like that. Maybe +1 to hit versus targets next to spores or something. That way it gives us a reason to. We're already taking biovores. We already are, and they have an ability. Now, this is where it will get tricky and not at the same time, if that were the case. Um, the ability already says that you can only use like one biovore to spawn a spore per turn. Uh, so you can't really do that. And I don't want them to lift that. I don't need more biovores to be included. I think it'd be dope if, well, here's the counterplay or counter measure to that, where because that's in check, this detachment won't get out of hand, and because of how they have to be distance away from your opponent's models, that would be also in check. I'm looking more so towards what they've done with Siege Assault and the one that they just did with Nurgle, where you choose units that are X amount of like two, I think it's like two at Strike Force, uh, units that are like 6 inches away from all of your, or 12 inches away from all of your opponent's models or all of your units, and they get a debuff, something like that. So I think that'd be cool if there was a way for Biovore Spore Mines to start doing more on the table besides just, or hell, give them one OC, and it'd probably be our best attachment. Besides that, Harpy, like I said, would be cool if there was something there to put a Harpy on the table. So, as you can see, I am. Is this the one that I'm hoping for most out of all the suggestions that I've done? Probably not. Probably not. I still would like some Mortal Wound shenanigans out of Gorgon, Devastating Wounds, something. Maybe Devzone 5 or some shit. Nah, okay, probably not. That would be insane. And then we'd be sitting here like Mordaka, but I don't know. That's what I'm. I think Infestation is not as clear as the other ones, and I think that we have opportunities there. Past that, another thing that I've noticed about a lot of the detachments that GW has released, for factions that kinda surprises me. Now, to some it probably won't, but I have the Trigon on screen. And yeah, kind of in the infestation process as well here. But why do I have 8th edition Trigon on the screen? Because Subterranean Assault. Now, uh, there's a monstrosity that has been rooting for this ability to come back. So I promise this wasn't just like, yeah, I'm just gonna take that. It's because of what's happening with the game and make a video out of it. So Subterranean Assault, during deployment, you can set up a Trigon underground instead of placing it on the battlefield. At the same time, you can set up a High Fleet troops unit in the Trigon's tunnel. At the end of any of your movement phases, you can set up the Trigon anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from any enemy models. If there's another unit in the Trigon's tunnel, set it up at the same time, wholly within 3 inches of Trigon and 9 inches away from enemy models. If you can't do that, for some of those models, they get destroyed. Alright. Oh, and also troops in 8th edition were Gene Stealers, Hormigons, Rippers, Termagants, and Warriors. So, why do I think that this is a possibility now? So, Emperor's Children, Death Guard, and World Eaters have a transport detachment. And I was like, well, that's odd to me. I wouldn't expect that, per se. Mechanized Assault Guard have that, but that's in line for them. And, well, Drukhari, again, in line for them, Sky Splinter Assault. Orcs have been doing truck spam. They didn't get anything with that further because Cult of Speed is pretty lacking, and in hindsight, that's how they could fix Cult of Speed because they did make it so that trucks can benefit from some things in Cult of Speed. Uh, so it'd be nice if we had a deployment detachment, whether that be with the Trigon. I just wanted to say that Trigon Prime was a thing. It'd be nice if Trigon Prime could get a data sheet again. That way it's Synapse and has another reason for me to deep strike 6 inches now. That'd be cool if technically my Trigon could become Trigon Prime. I know that won't happen this edition. Just saying, would be neat. Or, sorry, I brought up Trigon Prime twice. Tyrannocyte. I'm going to leave that oopsie in. Because why not? That's kind of funny. But Tyrannocyte. So, this model, I've asked for it to be buffed. It is our only transport. So, a lot of my complaining with the movement shenanigans of the Tyranids faction is relying on mostly our Vanguard invaders to deep strike. Or come on from board edge with lictors, right? We have two flyers that people don't necessarily love, and I'll be honest, I painstakingly took out of my for fun list recently to to think about something else because again my stuff is in storage right now. But that aside, we're looking at deep striking with our Vanguard Invader units. It'd be nice if we had access to setting things up, whether that be, we're going to close this tab because that's no longer funny, Trigon or Tyrannocytes somehow, some way. Now, you'd argue you can use Tyrannocytes, and I'd argue I'm not going to for 105 points. Also, that's the other thing. I almost forgot this. Space Marines got revealed that they're getting a new drop pod. Don't know why, but they're doing it. From what I've understand, people are like, well, how am I going to transport this thing when I can't close the doors? And good luck to you, I guess. That's not a fun time. So, if GW is realizing that they made transports kind of cracked this edition, also, I'm still disappointed in Custodes. None of you figured out that you could land raider through a wall and deploy a fucking bunch of wardens um, with Blade Champ or whoever the fuck you want to put with them, right? Still didn't figure that out for Solar Spearhead. Instead, everybody did the Dreadnought thing. Either way, transports are very good this edition. Orcs have been doing truck spam. Tau have did devilfish spam for a bit there. Everybody has tried to spam their transports. Hell, even Necrons right now aren't using the transport aspect of the Ghost Arc, but it's to say that a transport model is seen play in Awakened Dynasty because it makes that warrior brick tougher to remove. So, transports are good. Immolators. Immolators. Holy. You know what? Maybe Bringers of Flame wouldn't have been so bad if immolators weren't transports. Huh. Rhinos are good. Either way, the point stands that transports are good. Ours is not that great. We have the option of 20 infantry models or one Tyranids monster with a wounds characteristic of 12 or less, and every infantry that has more than one wound takes up the space of 3 models. Uh, in Space Marines, this is often 2, but, we take 3 because they don't want us to do Hive Guard shenanigans ever again. So there's that. And at this point of the game, you look at our infantry models and tell me what ones you really want to put in here anyway. The ones that I think would be for this at this point in time, Barbgon's Pyrovores, because you're attaching warriors, and that's the other thing. If we didn't have the 3 models thing, I'd be all fine and dandy for setting up Tyrannocytes and eliminating the weakness or reducing the weakness that I have, the problems that I have with the warriors for another 105 points, making that a 320 point unit, right? Uh, I would start to take more warriors with wing primes and do it that. Now, I gotta admit, there's one thing about the warriors that I've been really considering is if we take too many. Sorry that this is starting to go off the rails, but I haven't found a way to make this a separate video. If the Wing Tyranid Prime and maybe 3 warriors, I'd gotta see if maybe we've just been taking too many for the investment and it's actually just a better point there. So who knows on that front? Still gotta check that out. But if the Tyrannocyte could open up more doors, and again, if you just take the wound characteristic up to 14, like I understand why you don't want me to put a Norn in there, but I'd like to put a Haruspex in there. Right? Something quirky, something funky. Right now it's Screamer Killer, Old One Eye, or Cry, basically. So, all of those things could be nice. Or hell, if you, I know they won't bump it up to 16, but if there was a way, I could put Turvy in one Tyrannocyte and bricks of Termagants and other Tyrannocytes. Just a dedicated transport. I would pay, what's that, 420 points to do that, because that would be funny. Um, More or less, I'd probably stop at 2 bricks for 20 at that point. Either way, you know, just saying it'd be cool if we could do some Tyrannocyte shenanigans along with some Trigon Prime shenanigans. This is no longer funny too, so I'll take that out. Trigon Tyrannocyte shenanigans, maybe, just maybe, that goes a little bit more into cleaning up infestation, dropping things in, and yeah, we'll do that. So, our Trigon currently, the reason I have this pulled up is because it kind of does fuck all, and well, ability wise, it kind of does fuck all. And people have been wondering and asking for subterranean tunnels to be subterranean, well, assault. Um, but do the thing again. If you're going to make it so that I can't deep strike 3 inches because that's a game wide nerf, I do like that it's 140 points for this type of beat stick. But at this point, maybe it could be cheaper. Maybe it could be even cheaper if you're not going to fix the rule that I could just bring something, right? Just let me take something. Let me bring something along. I'll put everybody in reserves. I damn near play GSC or Chaos Demons at that point, but just saying that could all be fine and dandy and something that I'm looking forward. I would be looking forward to if you announced that that's how to play it. I would get some things off the shelf and have a bit more fun. So yeah, I think that there's a chance for the detachment that we get to be really fun. I think the other idea that I still really like is if they give us back war gear to an extent, where you get shit like toxin sacs, adrenal glands, enhanced senses for the detachment ability. All right, I think that would be pretty neat. All right, this is 8th. I'm over here like, why did I do this? And it doesn't look like the way, because I was last using 9th. Anywho, I think all of that could be enhanced senses, shit like that. I think it could be neat. But yeah, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.